Hey everybody, this is Sue Scott with the Back 10 Feet, and today we're going to interview John Sibley, who's the owner of All Native Garden Center here in Fort Myers, Florida, where we're shooting these wonderful shows. And we're going to talk about a favorite subject of John and mine's, and that is turf grass. Not really a favorite, and we're going to tell you why. John, first of all, I want to say thank you for letting us do our shows here. I know this is an inconvenience, but you love me, and that's okay, right?
Absolutely, pleasure
All
having
right.
you.
Great. And the reason I wanted to do the shows here is because you've got the native plants, the birds, the butterflies to show everyone. But one of the things you and I both agree on is there's too much turf grass in America. It's just ridiculous. Tell me what you really feel about turf grass. Don't hold anything back.
Well, there's several downsides to turf grass, particularly the high maintenance, obviously, is probably most important, but also the pesticides and the water that it requires for maintenance. And it's also what we call a monoculture. It's just one single species, and it's detrimental to the environment, not only in the fact that it's high maintenance and the water requirements, pesticides, herbicides, and everything that it keeps necessary to maintain it in good health, but it also discourages wildlife, which interrupts the natural cycle of wildlife that we depend on, the birds and the butterflies, the nectaring insects that provide our food source. So the more we incorporate this monoculture, high maintenance grass into our environment and at the same time reducing in existing habitat, it's a double-edged sword. We're reducing the environment and replacing it with detrimental environment.
Well, how does the turf grass help or not help? For example, here in Florida, we get a lot of migratory songbirds. When they get here and there's turf grass, how does that affect them?
Well, they've lost that food source. Here again, going back to my previous comment, that all those native plants that they had relied on for centuries, where they've created that cycle where they come and they eat and to get their food source to continue their migratory journey, whether it's to the Caribbean, Central or South America, or even if they stay here in Southwest Florida for the duration of the winter. By eliminating that, they've lost their food source, and ultimately they're not able to survive. So their populations begin to go into decline, and the insects and the plant material begins to go into decline at the same time. So it's an overall degradation of the environment, only to create this beautiful green lawn that has absolutely, beyond its aesthetic value that people seem to be so enamored with, it has absolutely no cultural value for our environment.
Do you see a change at all doing retail and doing landscaping plants? Do you see a change in the paradigm of what Americans consider a good-looking yard? Do you think it's changing at all from that horrible monoculture of turf grass to something better? Do you think there's any hope?
Yes, absolutely. There's been a lot of interest, for instance, in green market, farmers market, locally grown. And this goes to that paradigm that you referred to, is people are beginning to realize that we've degraded the environment so drastically that we need to it starts in your own backyard. So, and people are beginning to embrace that. And it's really I'm always so delighted to see the younger generation really on board with that, So there is a change in thought and motivation.
Awesome. Well, if you had one thing you wanted to say to everybody out there? And we're hoping to reach eventually millions of Americans, maybe even worldwide, with these shows. What do you want to say to everybody out there regarding this old style way of having a yard versus going back to what we used to have, which is our native and cultural, culturally important plants? What would you like to say to everybody?
Well, interestingly enough, Sue, you mentioned worldwide. Well, as a matter of fact, I have a lot of European customers that reside here for, the typical snowbirds that have property here in Southwest Florida. Europeans, they've been on board with this concept for centuries. The Asian people, as a matter of fact, this concept of permaculture. The Japanese, they don't waste 1 square inch of their property. It's a tiny Japanese island, hardly the size of the state of Florida, probably. And those people have fruits and flowers and seeds, nuts, so that they can survive with just a quarter of an acre of property. They don't have this vast, beautiful green lawn that's absolutely no use to them. And it always fascinates me that people are so obsessed with this green lawn that they're willing to forfeit their whole weekend, work like a slave, and then spend their weekend fertilizing and watering and mowing and trimming and edging
Yep.
and all of that the mow and blow and the noise pollution and so on and so forth. And I go into these gated communities and you have to weave your way through. It's either the chemical truck with some guy spewing out gallons of whatever, and the leaf blowers and the edgers and lawn mowers. It's just a cacophony of...
It's an assault on your senses almost, don't you think?
I can't wait to get out of there. Interestingly enough, I have a lot of customers where they've incorporated what we call outdoor rooms, creating little walkways and, maybe a bird garden here and a butterfly garden there and some fruit trees. And as people walk along, they really can embrace and enjoy a natural habitat with the birds and butterflies, as you said. And their neighbors all of a sudden have this epiphany, wow, I see what's going on there. And so it is pretty encouraging that this happens time and time again, that people begin to realize that, wow, their neighbors have all of these birds and butterflies and they're friendly furry critters, and they have nothing but this hideous monoculture.
If you go to All Natives' website at www.nolawn.com, great links to a lot of other places, great pictures, lots of good information, fun website, nolawn.com. The other website I'd like to talk to you about is the Institute for Regional Conservation, and that's at regionalconservation.org. Again, all these things are going to be on the blog site at www.back10feet.blogspot.com. I also want to talk about a couple of books. Last Child in the Woods, something very important we need to talk about. Children are not playing outside, they're not going in the woods. I grew up that way. It was a wonderful way to grow up. Great inspirational reading. You really need to check that out. And of course, a legend in books is The River of Grass with Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. This great lady has been associated with the Everglades and the Everglades National Park since time began, and you really need to check out this book. Thanks everybody for being with John and I today. Hope you had a great time. Tune in for more shows. And again, don't forget, you make a change 1 yard at a time, starting at the back 10 feet. Thanks.